God know my heart. I know what I'm saying. I'm big on God. I was raised in the church, you feel me? Like, and I asked him, forgive me, Lord. You feel me? Like, I'm gonna get it right this time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm so humble, man, because I know, bro, like, same way God gave it to me, he could take it.
Take that shit for sure.
What did I do to deserve this?
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Like, you done been through so much, you done did so much, and you feel me? You have to ask God, like, why me?
What really happened to Lil Poppa? I'm sure that's a question not just I've been asking, but a lot of people have been wondering ever since the news broke. Personally, Lil Poppa was an artist that had been on my playlist for a while, and over time, I grew a real appreciation for his music and the emotion behind it. But when I really thought about it, I realized something. Outside of the music, I didn't actually know much about him. I didn't know much about his life, how he rose to become one of the most notable artists coming out of Jacksonville, or what his journey might teach us about navigating success, pressure, and the mental battles that come with life. But before we go any further, we can't ignore the hardest part of the story. Florida rapper Lil Poppa died by suicide, fatally shooting himself in the head after crashing his car in Georgia, according to reports. Reports say that Poppa had gotten in a car accident earlier that day. After the crash, he calls his manager and asks to meet. The two eventually meet in a parking lot of a nearby hotel. They spoke for a few minutes, and then Lil Poppa does the unthinkable. He pulls out his gun, aimed it towards his head, and ended his own life. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Something about this smells really fishy.
Ain't nobody up with me and Aiden. At least that's what they say. You know, all closed eyes ain't sleep. Stay woke. All closed eyes ain't sleep. Motherfuckers be around you with their eyes closed and shit. Making a deep breathing and shit, making a little snoring sounds and shit, but they don't be sleep for real. You gotta watch out for shit like that. I don't trust shit. Hot shit. Yeah. They want to sleep for sure. I know a fake nigga. He was fake. Yeah, whoever that is faking for sure. Yeah, they hopped up. They faking. They not asleep. That's two faking sleep. See, I told y'all, all closed eyes ain't sleep. I just showed y'all two people that's faking sleep in this bitch, man. Don't play sleep around me. What you on? Oh, back door.
But this video isn't about chasing any conspiracy theories. It's about something deeper and way more meaningful than that. The real question here is, what patterns did we miss? What events in his life led him to this moment? What pressures was he carrying? And were there any clues hidden in plain sight that he was trying to signal to us, but we were just too stuck in our own ways to pick up on? So, I decided to dig a little bit deeper into Lil Poppa's story, to better understand how he rose to the level of success he reached, and more importantly, what might have been happening behind the scenes along the way.
Chad, how y'all feeling today, Chad? Good or bad?
Exactly, because if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling bad,
them
always
hoes alright though. There's something in there?
Yeah.
Hey, them hoes alright.
Hey, Chad, if you're feeling bad, always remember there is a tomorrow.
Sure. It ain't promised, but it is tomorrow.
And when you wake up, remember, it's fuck yesterday. Anything from yesterday don't matter.
Nah, that's real.
So join me as we explore the rise of Lil Poppa and try to understand what really happened. Jacksonville. What is it like to live in Jacksonville?
To have house parties, and y'all used to go to the mall and shit like that. Now you can't even really have fun because it's so much drama going on.
Can't do shit in Jacksonville. It ain't, bro, real shit, Sean, bro. There ain't nothing, literally nothing in Jacksonville to do, bro. Like, literally, we don't got no club, like no big club. They took Maverick, they knocked Maverick, the whole Jacksonville landing down. Like, they just taking everything from us, bro. No more, nothing, like.
Chaos. At least that's how some people describe it. But instead of focusing on the negative side of Jacksonville, it's important to remember that for as many wild stories as the city produces, it's also a place that has birthed a tremendous amount of talent, especially when it comes to music. See, Jacksonville is widely recognized as the birthplace of Southern rock, with bands like Lynyrd Skynyrd and the Allman Brothers taking over the 1960s. The 70s saw music bands like Molly Hatchet, 38 Special coming together in '74, and Blackfoot. In the 90s, you have the Quad City DJs, known for the hit song in '96, Come On and Ride It, Limp Bizkit, as well as Yellow Card. Man, we could do this all day, as Jacksonville is a very talented city that was home to many different bands and individual artists. But in the 2000s, that same Jacksonville sound didn't fade away. It only continued to grow as a new generation of artists started entering the game. The stage had already been set. The sound, the culture, the atmosphere, everything was already there. It was just a matter of time of who was up next. Who was going to pick up where the previous generation left off? Who really wanted it? Well, on March 18th, 2000, a kid by the name Janarius Mikel Wheeler, better known to the world as Lil Poppa, was born. And whether he knew it at the time or not, his story was about to become a part of that legacy.
I've been rapping, like, I've been had a love for music, you feel me?
Right.
But I guess writing, you feel me? I could have been wild, I could have jumped out the porch, I could have followed them and everybody else footsteps, you feel me? But it's different ways to express yourself. And music was one of them. I felt like music was one of them. So I just put my life into my music, and that's how I express myself. And music is a way of expressing myself.
Born on the east side of Jacksonville, Lil Poppa was raised in a fairly big family that supported anything and everything he did, especially his mother and grandmother, the two people who played the biggest role in raising him. But when it came to music, it wasn't just them. His whole family could see that he had a real love for it. It was the only thing he naturally gravitated toward. Nothing else really sparked his interest the same way. Around this time, his older brother, Chi-Chi, was already making a name for himself locally in Jacksonville, rapping in a music group called Cut Circle, a well-respected group that was starting to gain momentum in the city. As a big brother, Chi-Chi noticed how much Lil Poppa was drawn to music, so he decided to take him under his wing. And when Poppa was just 8 years old, Chi-Chi started teaching him how to rap. And it wasn't just basic stuff either. He taught him the details, like how to count bars, how to keep track of where you are inside a 16-bar verse, how to structure multi-syllable rhymes, and most importantly, how to write. And that lesson stuck with Poppa. From that point on, Poppa started carrying a notebook everywhere he went.
My brother Chi-Chi, that's my big brother, that's who taught me how to rap. You feel me? He set me down when I was 8 years old and taught me how to write. Go for bar, how to count bars. And it was over with from that day. You feel me? Like,
at a very young age, Lil Poppa developed an obsession with writing raps. It became his hobby, something that kept him busy and out of trouble. But things took a bigger step forward when he was around the age 12 years old. He decided to turn his grandmother's closet into his very own recording studio.
What was the dynamic at home like? I know you said you were in your grandmother's house recording in her closet.
Yeah, it was really like, okay, you know how it be, grandma house. So everybody like that immediate family know. Whenever I need, I don't care when it is, where I'm at. When I need to go to grandma house, I can go to grandma house. I'm following tough times. I can go to grandma house.
Right. Oh,
I was
yeah.
always grandma house. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody gonna be in there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's never gonna be no less than 5 people. You know what I'm saying? Like at a time. So
once his grandma gave him the green light, it was time to get to work. He had everything he needed. A microphone his cousin bought him from Radio Shack, a compact computer that was a gift from his auntie for Christmas, a mixpad recording software, and a whole DIY studio setup inside his grandmother's closet. And most importantly, support. Support from his mother, support from his siblings, support from the people who believed in him before anybody else did. It might not have looked like much, but Papa made it work. He started recording songs, teaching himself how to engineer his own music, learning different recording softwares, and slowly figuring out how to turn the ideas in his notebook into real records. Papa had his own little thing going on for himself, and his brother Chichi, along with his older cousin, saw just how serious he was taking his craft. They decided to bring him around their crew, hanging out with the older cats in the neighborhood. For a kid who hadn't even hit his teens yet, it was a whole different world. He was seeing a lot of grown folk stuff happening right in front of him. But he was always calm, cool, and collected. He knew how to chill and vibe with that kind of company. That's why they always brought him around. They also started taking him to their studio. His first time in a real professional setup almost intimidated him. Seeing all the mics, the mixing boards, and all that other special gear. It was a lot different from the little studio he had set up in his grandma's house. But this will become the norm, hanging out with the older crowd as soon as he would get off from school.
you know what I'm saying? I really didn't hang around people my age, you feel me? Unless I was in school. Once I got out of school, I'm hanging around dudes that's 25 down to 30. I'm 15. You know what I'm saying? So then my grandmother, I was raised by 3 women, my grandmother, my mama, and my auntie. So I ain't had no choice.
When a kid that young starts spending most of his time around people way older than him, instead of kids his own age, it usually says a lot about how he sees himself. A lot of times, the kid starts feeling like he relates more to older conversations and older environments. The jokes, the mindset, the way people move, it all starts to feel more familiar than being around kids his own age. And in some cases, that could actually be a good thing. Being around older people can give a kid a sense of mentorship, someone to learn from, especially if those older people are guiding him in something he already loves doing, like music in Papa's case. But there's also a downside that people don't really talk about. See, when you grow up around older crowds, sometimes you miss out on learning certain things with people your own age. Things like how to relate to your peers, how to communicate with them, and how to deal with normal conflicts that come with growing up. And depending on the environment, being around older people can also expose you to things your mind might not fully be ready for yet. And as for Papa, he never really saw it that way at the time because he was simply too young to even understand what was going on. But without even realizing it, he was slowly absorbing that atmosphere for the better.
It's a gift and a curse for sure. Cause I'd be like, dang, what if I would've, you know what I'm saying, lived that normal childhood and teen life that everybody else got the chance to live?
Right.
Would I be 10 steps ahead? You feel me? Like 10 steps ahead of them if I would've came up and did the stuff that they did.
Right.
So sometimes it do be, you feel me, a gift.
Yeah.
Not always a curse.
You know what I'm
Most
saying? You got a
definitely.
lot of people that, you know, I'm sure you're taking care of now,
Most
you know,
definitely.
things like that. Do you feel like that weight sometimes?
Since I was like like 15 years old, 14 years old. Like, I always been like someone that people had to depend on. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it as like nothing to be like
It's not a bad thing.
bragging about. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I was always somebody that, you know what I'm saying, people had to depend on. And now that I'm older now, you feel me? Like, I'm used to it now, you feel me? And now it's like on some shit like, okay, let's do it together now.
The grind was real for Poppa. Recording and producing his own mixtapes out of his grandma's closet. I can't lie, that's pretty gangster. But Poppa truly believed in himself. He would go to a local Walgreens, buy a stack of blank CDs, then spend the entire night burning them, copying all of his finished songs onto each disc. Once they were ready, he'd take them around the neighborhood and start selling his mixtapes for $10 a pop, all under the rap name Poppa, a nickname his mother used to call him growing up, mainly because he was always hanging around guys way older than him. And in a way, that hustle said a lot about him. Not just a kid chasing a dream, but a young entrepreneur selling his own music directly to the people. And Poppa kept repeating that same grind for the next couple of years, until eventually he made his first appearance on YouTube, featuring alongside the Cut Circle music group on the song Lion, Tigers, and Bears, which dropped on October 14th, 2014. The first time the internet was introduced to a young Poppa. The song went on to do phenomenal numbers, spreading all throughout the streets and putting a spotlight not just on Cut Circle, but on Lil Poppa as well. In fact, it became the most viewed video associated with the group at the time. For people on the outside looking in, it might have seemed like overnight success. I mean, your first appearance on YouTube, doing the kind of numbers it usually takes other artists years to reach, isn't normal. But the truth is, it wasn't overnight success at all. Lil Poppa's dedication and determination is what led him to that moment. All the hours he spent in his grandma's closet putting songs together, all those days walking around the neighborhood selling his mixtapes, every late night burning CDs. They say luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. And for Poppa, this was simply the moment where all that preparation finally met its opportunity. He was reaping what he had been sowing from the very beginning. After the success of Lion, Tigers, and Bears, people all throughout the city started asking the same question. Who was the young kid in the video rapping? Who is Lil Dude? A lot of people really connected with Poppa's verse on the track, and they wanted to hear more from him.
And when we dropped that song, mind you, that was my first video, you got the whole city asking, who is the little guy? Who is the little guy? Who is the little guy? We had a meeting in the house one day, and they all said, hey y'all, I feel we becoming too old to be chasing rap dreams. Everybody's asking, who is the little guy? Who is the little fella? Who is Poppa? Who is Poppa? We want more Poppa. I say we all quit our rap dreams and put our focus, our money, put everything behind Poppa.
Damn. Man, that's love, bro.
And that moment right there, that's exactly what Lil Poppa needed. A group of like-minded people around him who truly believed in his talent and were willing to give up their rap dreams to invest their time and energy into helping Poppa chase his. The OGs in Cut Circle had been rapping long before Poppa was even born. They could have easily taken a different route with this situation, letting jealousy and ego get in the way after seeing the young kid getting all the praise and recognition. But instead, they made the right decision. Not just for Poppa, but a decision that would end up changing their lives too, as they were all pouring water onto a small plant, not knowing that one day it would grow into something way bigger than they'd ever imagined.
I had my fan base. I had my set fan base. I had the city already.
Okay, got you.
You feel me? I had the city. I had the city since I was 14.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So once I caught the city's eyes and caught my buzz in the city, I was really focused on getting the world's attention. You feel me? Because I knew my city was behind me.
Now, with the momentum from his first song, Poppa didn't waste any time dropping more music. He and the Cut Circle crew kept releasing tracks, giving the city exactly what they wanted. Just a month later, in November, his second song, Bug, was uploaded, followed by Just Another Day, featuring his brother Chi-Chi and Buck City. Around that same time, Poppa also dropped Fall Off, the first music video on his personal YouTube channel, a moment that marked the beginning of him stepping out and becoming more independent in the rap scene. But while things were taking off musically, life behind the scenes was becoming harder and harder for Poppa to deal with. In interviews, he later mentioned that adulthood for him started at 15, and the big reason for that was trauma. Around this time, Cut Circle as a whole was dealing with too many losses back to back. Losses that were emotionally difficult for anyone to process, especially someone as young as Poppa.
New at 10, a local rap group accused of having ties to gangs is responding to our story tonight. At 5, we showed you why the state attorney's office believes the group Cut Circle is connected to the local gang 1200. Now, Action News' Jax Cole Heath is live downtown, and Cole, the group is denying those serious accusations.
The gang seriously denying those allegations, saying, hey, we have any affiliation to gangs whatsoever. However, the state attorney's office says that they have deep ties to gangs because of the content of their music videos.
Guns, blunts, and kids. They're all featured in Cut Circle's music videos, along with scenes of and lyrics about violence. Listen closely to the single My Team, where the group clearly acknowledges the 1200 gang. Assistant State Attorney Rich Manti tells me Cut Circle, the rap group, isn't a recognized gang, but its members and the group are tied to the 1200 gang.
Have Cut Circle members been prosecuted for crimes? Oh, yes.
If they're portraying that they're a gang or they're portraying that they're a gangster, they're trying to live up to that.
While doing some research on his early life, I actually came across a section on Wikipedia that mentioned an incident involving Lil Poppa and some of his friends, where a shooting reportedly took place that ended up killing 2 of the people he was with, leaving Poppa as the only survivor. Now, I can't fully confirm how accurate that information is, so I'm not gonna go too deep into it right now, but it's something I came across during my research, and we'll circle back to it later on in this video. But in his song, Letter to Desi, Poppa pretty much lays everything out on the table.
Bro, I ain't talked to you in a minute. A lot of things done changed around here. Niggas ain't the same around here. And plus half the team been in the chain game since last year. Your main man gone. Him and Smiley caught 3, Qualo 2, and all they seem to think about is you. Zozo gone, and Tavon will be home soon. Keenan caught 5, bro. I'm sorry for the bad news. Remember Granny home at Waffles? Yeah, no more of them. Granny caught cancer, so she ain't cooked in a minute. Granny gone.
And wait, you said they not here now?
You got some of the bros in jail. You feel me? Free Smiley, free Quillo. I just talked to Quillo yesterday. His birthday was yesterday. They both called 30 years apiece. They brothers. You feel me? Big Desi. You feel me? His name right here on my arm. God bless his soul. You feel me? Bro died in like 2015. Prosper Tay. You feel me? It was just like a lot of people out of the neighborhood. Jack. You feel me? Like just rapping, bro. Just a bunch of people with a rap dream.
In that song, Poppa was mourning a lot of things all at once. He was mourning the losses Cut Circle had been taking, with many of the guys around him getting booked and caught up with the feds. He was mourning the loss of his big homie Desi, the very person he was addressing in the song. And on top of that, he was also dealing with the declining health of his grandmother, someone who played a huge role in raising him. The same grandmother who let him turn her closet into a studio. The same grandmother who supported his music from the very beginning. Now, she was gone. For Poppa, it felt like everything was crashing down all at once. And with all that happening around him, the pressure to make it was starting to build.
How do you deal with that, bro? Knowing that, like, you out here enjoying the fruits of your labor and you being super successful, but you got a group of people that really had your back and they ain't really nowhere to, you know what I'm saying? Like, someone passing in jail, like, they can't enjoy the shit.
It's really hard to explain. Like, it's just something that you'll never get over. You know what I'm saying? Like, grief is something that you'll never get over, never get through. You just gotta find ways to deal with it, better ways to deal with it. Bro. You feel me? Like, that's the main thing, and just appreciate what you do have here left with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that it can all be gone in the blink of an eye.
"2018 would end up being the most significant year of Lil Poppa's life. The year where everything started to change. In September of that year, he released a song called Purple Hearts. And that song was the difference maker. It was the record that really introduced Poppa's voice and his pain to a much larger audience. The video quickly started getting traction, spreading beyond Jacksonville and eventually blowing up online, racking up millions of views and reaching nearly 10 million plays. For the first time, people outside of his city were starting to hear what Lil Poppa had been pouring into his music all along. In the video, Poppa actually opens up the song with
his life right now.
Starting off the song, he says,
"At night I wonder why them bullets they hit me, why the fuck they miss me? Rather be gone, take me out my motherfucking misery."
Then later in the track, he mentions his best friend, Chevy, describing a moment where Chevy stepped in front of some bullets while trying to protect them.
"All I hear is shots, so I duck. What the fuck? I guess it's just my goddamn luck. Feel like I'm stuck. Can't shed a tear. I'm more angry than anything. Tell me, can you feel my pain? Chevy arm in a sling. He got hit trying to cover me. I know he got love for me. Forever he stuck with me."
Now, remember earlier when I mentioned that section on Wikipedia that talked about an alleged shooting involving Poppa and two of his friends? Well, hearing those lyrics makes you wonder if this might be the actual situation he was referring to in that song.
I dropped this song called Purple Hearts in like 2019. That song, that's what did it. No, that was 2018. That song did it. You feel me? Like, and that was way faster than I expected. Once I dropped that song, I had labels from everywhere DMing me. You feel me? And that was always a dream as a youngin'. Like, you want to sign to this label, you want to sign to these different labels. Actually seeing them in your email. You feel me? Like, I don't know. It just felt so surreal. But I'm like, no way, man.
Not too long after releasing Purple Hearts, multiple record labels started reaching out to Lil Poppa. That alone showed him how much weight the song was really carrying. Once again, people wanted to know more about him. They wanted to hear more music, more stories, and more of that raw emotion he was putting into his songs. Just like when Lions, Tigers, and Bears first dropped, the same cycle was starting to happen all over again. The attention, the curiosity, the demand for more. And this time, Poppa caught onto it quickly.
So what was the song about, and why did you think it took off the way it did?
It was just basically like, I take music, you know what I'm saying, as my way to vent. You know what I'm saying? So any little thing I go through, you feel me, I try to put it in there somehow, some way, and that's what that song was just basically dedicated to, you feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just them boys, soldiers, we all soldiers, we made it out, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Purple Heart, you feel me? And I ain't expect to do what I did, but
It did, and I'm glad it did. I'm thankful it did.
The following month in October, Lil Poppa released his first official streaming project titled Under Investigation. And honestly, the project was a standout moment in his early career. The tape featured songs like Purple Hearts and Chosen One, records that had already started gaining serious attention online. But one track in particular stood out even more, a song called Smoke, because on that record, Poppa landed what was, at the time, his biggest cosigns yet. Not just one, but two. First, another rising Jacksonville artist who's starting to make a lot of noise in the city himself, Young and Ace. And alongside him, an artist from Atlanta who is already well established in the industry, YFN Lucci.
Then I go to Bigger Rankin, meet Lucci. Me and Lucci build a bond. Now, whatever city close to Jacksonville Lucci at, I'm opening up for Lucci. You feel me?
At just 18 years old, Lil Poppa was slowly but surely making his way into the industry. He already had a few viral songs circulating online. His name was starting to buzz outside of Jacksonville, and now he had his first streaming project gaining traction as well. On top of that, he was beginning to build a real network within the rap scene, collaborating with both local artists and bigger names who were starting to recognize his talent. But that moment was only the beginning. Poppa would go on to expand his run in 2019, a year that was arguably just as impactful, if not even bigger, than 2018 was. He didn't waste any time either. In March of that year, he released his second project, Under Investigation 2. And in many ways, the sequel ended up performing even better than the first. Almost every song on the project started pulling in millions of views, showing that Poppa's momentum was only growing stronger. His song, Internal Living, featuring Chicago rapper Polo G, was a collaboration that really elevated Poppa's name to another level. The song will go on to pull in over 40 million views, bringing even more attention to the young Jacksonville artists. Around the same time, Poppa also made a major career move behind the scenes. Shortly before the release of the album, he signed with Interscope Records, one of the biggest labels in the music industry. The Santa Monica-based label, owned by Universal Music Group, has been home to some of the biggest artists in hip-hop history, from Eminem and 50 Cent in the early days, to modern stars like Kendrick Lamar, Playboi Carti, and Lady Gaga. Poppa even hinted at the deal in his song Real One, where he raps,
Couple $100,000 just to spend, I still got some in the bank. Just signed a deal, run up them M's, I'm tryna cop me a Wraith. Ain't shit changed, same old shit, I'm in the bricks every day.
But what really stood out on the project wasn't just the success. It was the way Poppa started hinting on how the people around him began treating him differently after signing the deal. On the same album, he raps,
Finally on, nigga now it's game time. Niggas say I changed up, it's hard to stay the same now. I ain't never had a check, so I be flexing on a nigga. Everybody call and ask for something, they don't be checking on a nigga. They had checks all on a nigga. They was betting on a nigga.
Those lyrics give you a small glimpse into something that was starting to change in Poppa's life. Success was coming fast, a little too fast, but so was the pressure that came with it. He was no longer just another rapper trying to get his foot in the door. His name had already started circulating far beyond Jacksonville, and the recognition was growing with it. The music that once lived mostly on the internet was now being performed in front of real crowds as he began moving around more, doing shows in Jacksonville and touching other cities, giving fans the chance to experience the records that had been buzzing off both under investigation projects. He was stepping into a new phase of his career, the point where the artist and the audience finally met face to face. Still, one thing about Poppa never changed: the work ethic. Even with the momentum building, he stayed locked in. Before the year could even close out, he released another project, Almost Normal, putting a stamp on 2019 and setting the tone heading into 2020. The album reflected the life he had been living all year. Constant motion, nights on the road, performing now, adjusting to the reality of being a full-time artist. He was climbing very fast, inching closer and closer to the peak of his career. But the question is, at what cost? To really understand what unfolded in Lil Poppa's life, we have to rewind and take a closer look at the years that followed his rise, starting with 2020 and moving forward from there. Because behind the music and the numbers, a lot was happening that people didn't fully see at the time. Coming off the strong momentum he built in 2018 and 2019, Poppa stepped into 2020 with his career still climbing. And even when the world slowed down during the early days of the pandemic, it didn't seem to slow him down much at all. If anything, he leaned deeper into the music. That summer he released another project, Evergreen Wild Child 2, continuing to stack onto the catalog he had been building over the years. The project carried one of his biggest records, To The Point, a song that eventually racked up over 38 million views, reinforcing the fact that Poppa's presence in the rap scene was still growing stronger. But his next project wouldn't come until about a year later, which was a little unusual for Poppa, because up to that point, he had been dropping projects damn near back to back, barely wasting any time in between releases. This time though, fans had to wait. But when the project finally came, it was evident why. In 2021, he dropped Blessed I Guess, another solid body of work where you could tell he put in real time and effort into each song.
I always try to make a no skip project. You feel me? Like after, I think it was like after that second one, third one, and when everybody went like, oh, no skip every project you try. That's now that's my okay. Now I'm gonna make sure. Like at first I wasn't looking at it like that, but now the fans, that's how y'all looking at it. Now I gotta make sure I'm playing this game with y'all to make sure it's a no skip project every time. You feel me? So
Right.
that's what I'm looking at with it.
The album brought in songs like Mask On, Boys to Men, Miss Barbara's Grandson, and AM Flights, featuring Tusi, along with the project's most viewed record, Love and War, which pulled in over 40 million views. Honestly, it's hard to point out just one standout track because almost every song on the project ended up doing good numbers, with many of them, almost all of them, reaching over 1 million views. But the final track on the album, Blessed I Guess, wasn't the most viewed, yet it might have been the most important. Not just because it shared the same title as the album, but because in many ways, it felt like Poppa was starting to hint at something deeper. From the very beginning of the song, you could hear him opening up about how he was really feeling.
Them hard times be the best. Born cursed tatted on my neck. Took me a minute just to realize I was blessed. Full of pain and stress, but I'm too busy trying to gain success. Fuck the fame, I won't ever change. Don't want my name in the press. My therapist asked how I've been feeling, between insane and depressed. I can't lie, I'm traumatized from putting angels to rest. Daddy blood sickly child, I gotta deal with my health. I can't believe it was a time I thought about killing myself.
Listening to lyrics like these, it sounds like Lil Poppa was in a place where success and pain were existing at the same time. On one hand, he was fully aware that his life had changed and that he was blessed to have made it out of the environment he grew up in. But at the same time, the trauma from everything he had experienced, from losing people to dealing with stress and carrying the weight of those memories, still hadn't left him. The line about being between insane and depressed suggests that mentally, he was battling a lot internally, even while his career was continuing to rise. And by far the heaviest line in the song that still gives me goosebumps even when reading is when he admits that there was once a time he thought about taking his own life. It gives a glimpse into just how heavy things might have felt for him during that period. Even as the music and success kept building, it was a burden for Poppa, trying to understand and cope with pain that came along before the fame. Another line in the song that stood out to me was when Poppa said, "Daddy blood sickly child, I gotta deal with my health." That was honestly the first time I personally heard him open up about dealing with sickle cell disease. And when you really think about it, that line shows that his battles weren't just emotional or coming from the environment he grew up in, but also physical. Living with something like sickle cell adds a whole different layer to life. It's constant pain, health scares, and stress that most people don't see. So when you hear him talk about success, survival, and everything he's been through, it hits different, knowing he's also fighting a real battle behind the scenes. But the world doesn't care, and it won't stop spinning for you. As much as Poppa tried to vent through his music and open up about what he was feeling, letting people get a small glimpse inside his world, the outside world kept moving forward, and so did he. Instead of slowing down, Poppa kept his head down and went straight back into grind mode, focusing on the next moves in his career. And the following year, those moves started to get even bigger. In 2022, Lil Poppa signed with Yo Gotti's record label, Collective Music Group, also known as CMG, a Memphis-based label that had already built a strong roster of artists like Moneybagg Yo, ESTG, Glorilla, Black Youngster, and Mozzie. And with Poppa joining the lineup, it felt like Yo Gotti was putting together a real all-star team of talent. This was another major milestone for Poppa. The opportunity to work alongside a respected figure in hip-hop who had not only built a successful music career, but had also made a name for himself in business and real estate. It was the kind of mentorship that could help take Poppa to the next level. And interestingly enough, that opportunity came through his manager, Joey Manda, who had quietly been sending Yo Gotti Poppa's unreleased music and projects for years, without Poppa even knowing. Joey had seen something in him early on, and truly believed in his potential, and eventually, that belief paid off.
Like, shout out to Joey Manda, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I got so much respect for the man, you feel me? Like, working when I don't even see him working, or when I don't even know him working, like, putting my names in rooms when I'm not around and I don't know he's, you know what I'm saying? But he always speaking highly of Poppa, letting the next person know about Poppa.
Right.
You feel me? Like, come on, like, that right there is enough. Like, his main goal was to always make sure, even if he don't speak, cause he if you know him, if you know Joy, he's one of them type people that don't talk, don't speak on nothing at all. But he always watching and observing, and he's always trying to help. So the whole time, like, while I'm working and releasing music, he plugging me in with Gotti, you feel me? Like, and I don't even know. Like, when I meet with Gotti like, yeah, like, I know all your shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, every song you released in these past couple of 2 years, honestly, since Joy's been sending me all that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so what was next for Poppa? I mean, he already built a name for himself in Jacksonville, becoming a figure that younger artists in the city could look up to. His music was pulling in millions of streams across multiple different platforms, and now he was officially playing in the big leagues after joining CMG. From a person analyzing his life, it seemed like he was checking off every goal on the list. But mentally, things weren't that simple. As Poppa mentioned in an interview, there came a point where accomplishing those goals didn't hit the same anymore. The excitement of reaching them slowly started to fade, and the drive that once fueled him wasn't as strong as it used to be.
Cause like I said, I be on like, okay, yeah, we did that, but what's next? You feel? They are the ones that make me realize, okay, yeah, you did it, but take a minute and look what you did. Look at what you did. You feel me? Like
live in the present.
They have to remind me sometimes, like, it's not normal. That's, you know what I'm saying? That, especially my little brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? He remind me all the time, like, bro, that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, get it in your head. Like, that what, you know what I'm saying? This and this and this and this. And you feel me? Whatever it is, like, that's not normal, dude. Like, you around these people, around these groups of people, like, dude, you know what I'm saying?
Even putting that tape together at 14, that alone just shows the drive. You know, not everybody's out here doing it.
So the question remained, what was next for Lil Poppa to achieve? Well, as it turns out, the next major chapter in his life had nothing to do with music at all, and it had everything to do with family. In the summer of 2022, Lil Poppa welcomed his son, PJ, into the world, marking one of the biggest milestones in his life, giving him something worth living for.
I just started realizing a lot of stuff till I had my kid, my son. Okay. You feel me? That's what brought like a lot of attention to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, you gotta leave certain things alone. You feel me? Like, you got a kid, and I want to see my kid grow. You know what I'm saying? I want to see my kid walk across the stage. I want to see him. I want to be able to see him do a lot of things that I didn't do. You feel me? I want to be a father, a better father than my father was. You feel me? So, like, my kid is what helped me realize that.
Becoming a father unlocked a whole different side of Poppa that he didn't even know was in him. The moment his son PJ entered the picture, the perspective started shifting. It wasn't just about music, streams, or accomplishments anymore. There was someone depending on him now, someone watching. And that responsibility lit a different kind of fire under him. On days where the motivation might have been fading, PJ gave him a reason to keep pushing, to keep grinding, and to keep building something bigger than himself. This led right into his next project, Heavy is the Head, which dropped just a few months after the birth of his son. On one of the records that caught the most attention from the project was a song called Happy Tears. On the surface, it's a calm and almost refreshing track, but once you sit with it and start peeling back the layers, there's a much heavier meaning underneath it. In the song he says,
some days I want to snap, some days I want to chill, some days I want to rap, some days I want to sip, I ain't trying to pop a pill, some days when I love life, and it be days I don't want to live, I've been crying happy tears.
Poppa was experiencing the highest highs and the lowest lows all at once. Almost like living on an emotional roller coaster that never really stops. One day he feels like snapping. The next day he just wants peace. Some days he's locked in with the music, motivated and focused. And other days the energy just isn't there. That kind of mental tug of war usually happens when someone has gone through a lot of trauma but is still expected to perform when the lights cut on. The world sees the artist, the success, the numbers, but internally, it can feel like a constant overload. Left unchecked, and that pressure can slowly build up until it spills over into something much darker. When he says there are days he loves life and other days he doesn't want to live, was probably the second hint he gave to us. But to be real, we as listeners didn't take it that literally and seriously as it was for him to actually mean what he said. But in fact, he was. And when you zoom out and look at the timeline around this period, after he dropped his projects Blessed I Guess in 2021 and Heavy is the Head in 2022, there is a gradual shift I started to notice in Poppa's music going forward. The voice is still the same, the delivery is still the same, and the persona hasn't changed. It's still the same Lil Poppa, But the emotion behind the music starts to feel heavier. See, pain had always been a part of his music, dating all the way back to songs like Purple Hearts. But it just feels like that same pain he first started with amplified to a whole nother level. Like the music was becoming less about just making songs and more about releasing everything he had been holding inside. For him to vent, basically. His records started sounding less like traditional rap and more like therapy sessions. The kind of music people just don't play to vibe to, but to actually sit with and relate to on a deeper level. I'm not big on comparisons, but if there's one lane that comes to mind, it's very similar to the space Rod Wave carved out, where listeners aren't just nodding their heads to the beat, but they're connecting to the emotion behind the words. And Poppa himself was well aware of that shift. In an interview, he even spoke about how his music had started leaning more towards that emotional space, and how he wondered whether his fans would fully embrace it or not.
I was worried about, you feel me, keeping my crowd. I was one of them artists that was worried about, you feel me, like, if I change up, if I switch it up, are they gonna relate? You know what I'm saying? Like, until I had to realize, like, if you keep talking about the same thing, you're only making problems bigger, you feel me? You might not realize it, you feel me, because you're not in the city every day on 24/7, so you might not see the youngins in the city that's you feel me, that's following your lead and looking up to you, you feel me? So if I tell them that it's more to life, then maybe they will want to do something with themselves to experience it.
But let's switch gears for a moment and step away from breaking down his music. Instead, we need to focus on another place where Poppa was just as honest, sometimes even more honest about what he was going through: his infamous Twitter account. Now, over the years, Lil Poppa built a reputation on that platform for speaking his mind without really filtering anything. A lot of late night thoughts, random feelings, and moments where it felt like he just needed somewhere to vent. It all ended up there. If you gathered every tweet he's ever put out, you could probably make an entire book with just those tweets alone. And a lot of those tweets carried the same kind of weight that you hear in his music. Things like,
"Man, I'm scared. This ain't no facade. I don't really like me."
Or,
"Most of the time I feel like everyone's life will be so much better without me."
At one point he even tweeted,
"I want my life back."
Other times it was shorter, almost like quick thoughts that slipped out in the moment.
"I'm back blaming myself. Can't trust nobody. This shit low-key sad. I have no one. God, I'm trying."
And one tweet in particular stood out where he admitted,
"EJ the only one that know how I deal with depression."
It was like watching someone let their guard down in real time. He wasn't dressing it up for the media or trying to make it sound poetic the way some artists usually do in songs. He was just putting the thoughts out there exactly as they came to him. And for the most part, people responded with support. Fans would reply trying to lift his spirits, telling him to stay strong or reminding him that they cared about him. There wasn't much negativity under the posts. If anything, the only pushback you would see were people saying things like, "Man, don't start that sad stuff again." Almost like the audience had grown used to Poppa expressing his emotions openly. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that kind of honesty is the only way people know how to cope. I think at this point, we've covered most of the hints and warning signs he left behind. The ones hidden in the music, the interviews, and even the things he chose to post online. Looking back now, and all of it feels different when you piece it all together. But even with everything we've gone through so far, that's still not the full picture. Because what happened next would add a whole new layer to the story. One that goes deeper than the songs, the tweets, or the speculation. And to really understand it, we have to take a closer look at what truly unfolded next.
Pac died at 25, Biggie died at 24, and it made me nervous. I just turned the same age a couple days ago. All the shit I go through you'll never understand. Sitting in the dark with a gun in your hand. What if I play Russian roulette with a Glock of full clip and put one in their head? They done turned me to a Lil Poppa hater. He used to be my favorite. I don't know what it is, but fuck him and how he feels. He fell off when he switched his flow, and that shit was some years ago. Nigga talking about he gonna kill himself. Why the fuck he still here for?
Heavy-hitting lines that started appearing more in his recent songs that were signaling extreme cases of foreshadowing in what was to come later on. But this type of foreshadowing was always there, unfortunately. Just looking at the titles from his albums says it all when you piece them together. Almost Normal, Blessed I Guess, Heavy is the Head, It's Me, I'm the Problem, and his last album, Almost Normal Again, actually aren't normal names that you would use for albums. More like quiet confessions instead. What were some of the recent events leading up to this date? In the summer of 2025, Poppa released his last album, Almost Normal Again, in August.
You'll be proud of me, OG. Woke up, read me a Bible verse, got some breakfast in my system, talked to God about it. You know what I'm saying? And he laid it on me. I got one more album, EP, mixtape, whichever one it's gonna be, I got one more. And it's over, I'm going to find my peace.
Maybe that message came after he dropped Almost Normal Again, because that project clearly wasn't the last time fans heard from him. He went on to release 6 more new songs afterward, likely laying down the groundwork for what he intended to be his final album, before he, quote, find my peace. But I really wonder what he meant by that. I don't want to make this about a label thing, but his energy towards his label did read that he was going through some things that we couldn't see.
To be real, he should have never signed a deal. Gonna be slaving for his masters.
His tweet on February 4th, 2025 reads, I got 2 albums left before I pack my shit and leave the label. He later again restates the same line on his song Russian Roulette, saying, I got 2 hours left before I pack my shit and leave the label. But why though? Why does he want to leave his label so bad? I'll leave that up for you guys to ponder on. But going into the last month that Poppa was alive, he let out a series of tweets that were very hard to ignore.
The first mind is right every time. Trust no one.
And
is it okay to cry?
All just a week before his passing. On the 13th of February, his song Out of Town Bay would officially be his last ever song uploaded to YouTube, just 5 days before things took a traumatic turn. It's around 11 a.m. on what looks like a normal Wednesday. Lil Poppa is on Interstate 85, just outside of Hateville, most likely leaving the studio after being there all night. And that wasn't out of the ordinary for him. Late nights, long sessions, barely any sleep. That was his routine.
Don't no sleep. Like that's what I'm liable to be. I ain't been asleep right now. You know what I'm saying? I left the studio at 10 o'clock this morning.
And then started doing press runs?
I'm right here with you right now.
Sheesh.
I ain't been asleep yet.
There's no telling where he was going or what was running through his mind as he was on the interstate. It could have been anything. But this is where the story takes a slight turn. Out of nowhere, everything comes to a stop. Poppa crashes his car. A single vehicle accident, meaning no one else was involved. Only him. And with something like that, there's always a lot of possibilities. Maybe he lost control of the wheel. Maybe he was speeding. Maybe it was fatigue from being up all night. It could have been distraction, being on the phone. Probably something much deeper like impairment or a medical emergency. At the end of the day, we don't know. And we're not here to play detective. All we can do is acknowledge that something went wrong in that moment. But what happened next still has people scratching their heads till this day. After the crash, Poppa reportedly called his manager, asking what he should do. The car was still drivable at the time, so instead of staying at the scene, he drove and met her at a nearby hotel parking lot, the Hilton. They spoke briefly, face to face, with his window slightly rolled down. And then it happened. Poppa reaches, pulls out a gun, cocks it back, and puts it to his head.
Wanna say sorry to my fans. All the shit I go through you'll never understand. Sitting in the dark with a gun in your hand. What if I play Russian roulette with a Glock, a full clip, and put one in the head?
He really meant that.
Family man. He loved every person in his life. He took care of every person in his life. Poppa took care of his son. Poppa loved his child's mother. He loved Toy to death. If you really knew Poppa, Poppa never was happy with life. It had nothing to do with anybody. He just feel like he wouldn't make nobody happy. And that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. Because in truth, he made all of us happy.
Even after hearing everything, something still doesn't fully sit right. The part that's hard for me to wrap my head around is after he crashed his car, the first person he called was his manager, and the last person he spoke to was also his manager. She later spoke at his funeral, but never really went into full detail about what was said in those final moments. The conversation that she and Poppa had just before he put out his gun and did what he did. And it leaves me wondering, how come the first person he called wasn't someone like his mom, a family member, or someone close to him on a personal level? Why did he contact his manager first, out of all people? Now, to be clear, we're not putting this on a manager. Nah, we're not doing that. It's just questions, the kind that don't really have clean answers.
Bottles in the street to trash. We're at the intersection right now of A. Philip Randolph and Jesse in Jacksonville. Police say this was the site of a gathering after midnight that ended in violence. JSO tells us that 4 people were shot. It was a barrage of bullets. Police say 12 to 15 shots rang off. The 4 victims were 2 women, ages 34 and 39, as well as 2 men, aged 37 and 43. The 34-year-old woman was found on scene and taken to a nearby hospital. The other 3 victims took themselves to a hospital. Police in the community tell us that this was a gathering to remember Jacksonville rapper Lil Poppa, who died at 25 in Atlanta.
I remember being a nice little kid, growing up singing and rapping inside the church, so yeah, I enjoyed him. I hate he's gone.
Robert Phelps, who attends First Baptist Church of Oakland, down the street from the shooting, says this isn't normal for out east.
Of course, like I said, I haven't seen anything like this. I heard anything like this happen in years. So yeah, definitely out of character. I mean, they always had gatherings every night.
Bishop Harry Williams of In the Word International Church on Spearing Street is calling on partygoers and DJs to help spare attendees from the violence.
And don't be afraid to tell somebody, if they see something, don't be afraid. Tell them, hey, man, look, I see you got that gun on your side. Put it in the car, man. You know what I mean? Let's just talk. Let's hang out, have a good time. Make it home to our families.
Anyone with any information is being asked to contact the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. For local coverage you can count on in Jacksonville, I'm Zion Decoto, Action.